In May, Prime Minister Philippe J. Pierre announced an operational review of St. Lucia's Citizenship by Investment program. He also announced the decision to sign a memorandum of agreement already underwritten by regional states to have common CIP standards.
In addition to signing this memorandum, St. Lucia has made further suggestions to strengthen this regional agreement, including proposing legislative changes to address change of name requests. This has been agreed to by other heads of government. After consultations are completed with regional governments and other partners, the government of St. Lucia will suggest further strengthening of the CIP program. This would include an annual quota, a net worth for applicants, escrow accounts to be held in St. Lucia or in individual islands, a requirement that only licensed promoters will be allowed to submit applicants to local authorized agents, and those promoters will have to submit a due diligence report on each applicant.
The announcements coincided with the United Workers' Party's demands for the resignation of the Investment Minister, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, and for the head of the Citizenship by Investment Unit to be sent on leave pending the outcome of a lawsuit by MSR Media, in an attempt to salvage what was left of the CIP's image and the country's reputation.
When I said that our program was on trial, the government, the St. Lucia Labour Party, took umbrage and they took offense. I'm repeating, our CIP program is on trial because Mr. MacLeod Emmanuel was not named as a co-defendant in the lawsuit in his private capacity on a matter about his personal business. He was named as the CEO of St. Lucia's Citizen by Investment program.
The UWP's demands followed damning allegations about the island's Citizenship by Investment program and government officials by MSR Media head Philip Martinez.
We send them by email and we send them by WhatsApp. They've ignored the letter. So we filed the RICO lawsuit. Now, obviously, now everyone understands the magnitude of the problem, the repercussion, and let's face it, I just ended the scam in the Caribbean by filing that RICO lawsuit. It's over. I think that MacLeod Emmanuel did something courageous by coming to DC. Was not easy. It was his initiative. I mean, I was surprised. I mean, I was expecting to hear from him on the Saturday on a Zoom call. So I respect that. And I respect the fact that he came forward and that he decided to open up a channel of communication. It's a sign in a good step.
Investment Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire would come forward to defend the country's Citizenship by Investment program. In a televised speech, he addressed the allegations of corruption surrounding the CIP in the MSR Media RICO civil lawsuit, setting the record straight and defending the integrity of the program. According to Dr. Hilaire, the allegations were baseless and malicious. Despite the address to the nation by Investment Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire on the subject, opposition leader Alan Chastanet continued to voice concerns about the CIP. He even threatened legal action while attempting to pressure the government to take definitive action to address the allegations surrounding the CIP.
Prime Minister, if you do not take action, we'll be left with no other option but to take this matter to the courts and to solicit the support of civil society and the public to prevent further threats to the integrity of our CIP program and our country as a whole.
The Prime Minister meanwhile warned that he would not be making any comments on the CIP controversy until the court case was concluded. By the first week of June, the nation's homicide toll had risen to 34. The sound of gunfire would rip through several communities, heralding the end of a weeks-long lull in violence that police had been struggling to bring under control. One man was shot dead in a police-involved shooting one Friday in Vieux Fort, while two others were gunned down in Marcha that Saturday. Two other men would meet their demise at Rodney Bay by that Sunday. The island's 40th homicide was recorded at Grand Ravine Dennery mere days later. 41-year-old Dexter Samuel, also known as Dexter, was gunned down in the wee hours of Friday, 14th June. Crime Prevention Minister Jeremiah Norbert, in response to the shootings, announced that the development of an anti-crime strategy remained a priority for the government. He said the administration was in the process of identifying a consultant to put the strategy together.
What happened over the weekend was sad. It's very sad, where we had 4 young individuals, and I think it's also always important to mention it's 4 young individuals who fell victim to gun violence again. Notwithstanding, I think about the National Crime Prevention Strategy, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. So I don't want to give anybody any sort of false hope or false expectations, so that next week when I return to press briefing, I'm asked again, so where are we in terms of the, I'm going to keep you updated. I have started the engagement with stakeholders. I've met commerce, I've met civil society, I've met the chamber, other individuals who have an interest. I've met some NGOs, and we started a discussion. I've also engaged 2 or 3 individuals who can serve in the capacity of consultant, and we've not chosen a consultant, but we're in the process of trying to identify a proper consultant to put together a national crime prevention strategy.
He commended the police on their efforts to suppress the crime situation and stressed the need to strengthen efforts to secure the island's borders from the influx of illegal firearms. But while the minister was applauding the police, Director of Public Prosecutions Dasrin Green would come forward to disclose that he had recommended the arrest of several police officers implicated in the alleged extrajudicial killings during the police offensive Operation Restore Confidence.
As such, I've advised the Commissioner of Police that the further lines of inquiry, and I just want to stop, on the last occasion I indicated that there were further lines of inquiry to be explored, that these lines of inquiry, embarked upon by the investigative team, which was done subsequent to the coroner's inquest in this matter, have revealed sufficient evidence, in my view, to warrant the arrest and formal interviewing of the officers involved on suspicion of reckless manslaughter.
The DPP also called for the creation of an independent agency to investigate police killings. Mary Williams, the mother of Kimberly De Leon, would also question the lack of movement on her daughter's murder case, casting doubt on the potency of the entire justice system.
The DPP, he shied away from a lot of questions. Even when I tried to ask him, on behalf of my daughter's case, he tried to shut me up so that the public will not know some of the things that I know. And I think as a DPP, if his office is responsible for prosecuting cases, then if the police are not forthcoming with information on certain cases, he has a right to call them and ask, how far have you gotten with this case, or what added information do you have?
Another high-profile case, the murder of British hotelier Oliver Gobat, also remained unsolved and a major black eye for local law enforcement. Commissioner of Police Cressida Descartes-Pellios will refuse to respond immediately to the DPP's claims, but promised a press conference of her own. Meanwhile, 18 new police recruits were ushered into the ranks of the RSLPF with a warning not to follow into corrupt practices and to reject all forms of bribery. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre also responded to calls from the Director of Public Prosecutions, Dasrin Green, for an independent agency to investigate alleged police-involved crimes. The Prime Minister acknowledged the importance of addressing concerns surrounding police shootings.
In the police force, there is a unit that does investigations. There's a school of thought that says there should be an independent unit. But these things, you have to decide how you go forward with it. It's not something we can do today. It's an idea that is worth thinking of. It's an idea that we possibly can implement, but it's a work in progress. But it's a good idea.
He emphasized the government's commitment to transparency and accountability in law enforcement. Carnival celebrations got underway in June with the announcement of a new addition to the Junior Carnival 2024 calendar, a school store. This new addition would bring the carnival spirit to selected infant, primary and secondary schools across the island. Other events making up the junior component of the festivities were the National Schools Calypso Competition, the National School Band Festival, and the Junior Parade of the Bands. The Kaiso Pros 10 KPT came back for its third Calypso season. Interest in the groovy and power soca monarch competition was high, with several artists also aiming to dethrone six-time groovy soca monarch king Alpha Ale, while Ale planned to capture the crown for a record seventh time. Organizers of Lucian Carnival were enthusiastic and were predicting one of the biggest carnivals in the island's history. Tamara Gibson, the chair of the Carnival Planning and Management Committee, revealed that the participating bands would be overflowing with both returning and new revelers.
The music is definitely commendable this year. I think it has far surpassed our expectations. The music was released very early and it's really been in circulation for quite a few months now. So it's given us an opportunity to get familiar with it, to become excited about it. And I really think the three monarchs all do have will have to put out their best foot to defend their titles this year.
Safety and security of the various events remained a major concern for organizers, who together with sponsors encouraged participants to enjoy the festivities responsibly. For jingles and other media messages, revelers were challenged to not only drink responsibly, but to live responsibly.
We know that Carnival is a time where persons indulge, whether it be patrons, spectators, revelers. People tend to overindulge, and so we want people to remember that it is extremely important to enjoy, but enjoy responsibly. So whether it is by your alcohol consumption, also by staying hydrated, drinking water, preparing your body for the season, because we know during the season most persons are more active because you attend more events are late. So we want you to ensure that you get the proper rest, as well as when you're driving, don't text and drive.
The St. Lucia Christian Council also joined in the cause for responsible behavior, emphasizing the need for a more wholesome celebration of St. Lucia's largest cultural festival.
Our lives are not meant to be lived in compartments. In other words, we are not Christians one moment and pagans in the next. The principles and values by which we live of necessity must be expressions of who we are. As such, Carnival is not meant to be that time when we permit ourselves to be loose beyond recognition and return to normal living in its aftermath.
The council was concerned that the annual event had become overly sexualized. The St. Lucia Tourism Authority was expecting a major influx of visitors for the Carnival events and was taking extra steps to mitigate travel issues experienced the year before. Accommodation concerns since several properties were expected to be closed for renovations were also addressed by the SLTA.